Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So coming to you today, I'm gonna do a little bit of an update video on this Mossberg 4x4 chambered in 30-06. So I've done a couple of videos on this so far. Now I will go into this saying that I think we'll be able to turn this into a halfway decent shooter, right? But at the same time, my expectations going into this project are, I won't say they're low, but at the same time, you have to realize Mossberg is one of the very few companies that do not put out a accuracy guarantee. You see that thrown around quite a bit nowadays with a lot of the gun manufacturers. They'll say, hey, MOA guarantee, you know, with premium ammunition, premium factory ammunition. You go buy some of the most expensive, best of the best factory ammunition you can buy. You shoot it in our rifle and we guarantee that the gun will shoot 1 MOA. Now, Mossberg does not do that. So when you're buying from them, it's more of a buyer beware, especially on their lower end stuff, which I think the 4x4 was probably more of a budget friendly option that they came out with. I'm pretty sure it's discontinued. I don't think they make this rifle anymore. So with that being said, you have to kind of meter your expectations, right? That's going into it. You have to sort of understand that probably going to have to be some work involved on working up a really good load, and you have to sort of start the project with the end in mind, right? Like, what do I deem to be a really good load for this particular rifle? Well, the more we shoot it, the better we'll understand and kind of characterize, hey, this is just sort of the performance that we can expect, sort of average, right? Just run-of-the-mill stuff that we can expect out of this, whether that's, you know, MOA accuracy, you know, 1.5 inch groups at 100. I don't know, right? We'll see. Time will tell, because I haven't actually put a whole lot of rounds through this gun yet. I shot some factory ammo on the last video, just a couple of hand loads that I had as well. And so I want to go over, I went back and actually loaded up some more hand loads for this thing. And I kind of want to go over those details because I posted about it, and somebody, a guy left a comment on it and was saying that, so the powder that we use, we'll just get right to it. The powder that I went with is this Winchester StaBall 6.5. And the guy made the comment saying that that was a poor choice for 30-06 because it was too slow, way too slow of a powder to be using in 30-06. Well, I had been looking around because the bullet that I wanted to use was the Sierra 165gr GameKing. Now, if you guys will recall, I had posted a couple of videos about that particular bullet, very short. It might have just been a short that I posted when they went on sale at, I believe it was Midway USA. So at first they dropped the price down. It was like 29 cents a bullet, which was a really good deal at the time because, I mean, just every bullet is more expensive now due to COVID and all of that stuff. So they had dropped the price because before they were like over 40 cents a piece. I think they were like 42, 43 cents a piece. Well, they dropped the price down to 29 cents a piece. So I jumped on it, bought 400 of them. So I bought 4 boxes. I mean, no time at all had passed, and you turn around and they dropped the price again, even more drastically. It might have been down to 22 cents or something per bullet. It was just like back-to-back price drops. You know, they ran them on sale. So I picked up another 400. So I have 800 of these bullets on hand. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go with that in the 30-06. I think it's a really good hunting option, which is what we're going to be using this rifle for. So 165 grain Sierra GameKing, Winchester StaBall 6.5 powder, Federal large rifle primers. We're using Starline brass. Right, Starline, this was once fired, so now it's been twice fired after today's range trip. So that's kind of what we're working with. And here is some of the velocity information I was able to gather. And where you'll find load data for this particular combination, because you're not going to find it on Sierra's website, Hornady's website. Of course, it's not a Hornady bullet, but as far as like 165 grain class bullet. You won't find it on virtually any of the bullet manufacturers. You won't find this powder combination with a 165 grain bullet. But where you do find it is Hodgdon's website. They have their load data online there, you know, that you can go and access. And so I was looking through there with the 165 grain bullet, just seeing what powders I had that would match up with what they had when they had StaBall 6.5 mentioned. So I'm digging around in the closet, and I've got like 2 pounds of it that I completely forgot that I had. So I wanted to just check it out, and that was why I made that post about, you know, using that particular powder. And then the guy commented, hey, too slow, not gonna work. Well, I mean, I kind of hate to break it to you, like, this is actually turning out to be a really good option in the 30-06, because if you go and look at load data from Sierra, Hornady, Nosler, Spear, it doesn't matter, you name it. Go look at all the bullet manufacturers, and even the powder. You can go look at Ramshot load data. For a 165 grain bullet out of a 30-06, almost all of them, their max velocity that they're gonna get you is like 2950. With whatever powder they use, 2950 is virtually max. You might go a little bit above that. There's gonna be some cases where you might go 2975, maybe just a little bit more with some Ramshot. I think Ramshot Hunter gets pretty good velocity, but I don't think it breaks 3,000 feet per second in the load data, within the published load data. So this particular load, this is the max charge, by the way, from Hodgdon, 60.2 grains. And they say that you should get, I think it's like just over 3,000 feet per second, like 3,003 feet per second or something like that. So you can see we were actually not that far off, maybe 40, 45 feet per second off from what Hodgdon said should be our velocity. That's pretty good. I mean, because if you go and look, I don't know if maybe people have a misconception about what the 30-06 is capable of with a 165 grain bullet, but you go and look at the load data that's available, and you're topping out again, 2,900, 2,950. Sierra tops you out at 2,930 with the 165 grain GameKing, and that's showing, according to them, like big time pressure signs using, I can't remember what powder they used on that. But I mean, you're talking a lot of the load data is going to keep you more around 28, from 28 to 2850 with this particular bullet. So, you know, for us to work up to the max charge from Hodgdon, 60.2 grains, and have pretty much very minimal pressure signs. My primer started to flatten out a little bit, but that was it. That was the only sign of pressure that we had. There was primers were not cratering, there was no stiff bolt lift, I mean, everything shot perfectly fine. So I think, I just want to say that I think that gentleman, or whoever it was that left the comment, I think you need to go back and reevaluate that statement on top of looking at Hodgdon's load data, and then what we have here. This seems to be, this is not too slow at all. Case fill is really good. It's not a compressed load at all, not even close. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to be a really, really good option if you're wanting to shoot a 165 grain bullet. Now, if you switch to something like a Barnes, right, solid copper, where it's a longer bullet going to be sticking down into the case a little bit more, that's something that, yeah, you would probably want to approach that with caution, right? And kind of slowly work your way up, because you're going to hit pressure, you know, higher pressures quicker, because you're eating up some of your case capacity with that length of the bullet. So, but what I did, I did 3-shot groups for all 5 of these, and then, or actually 4-shot groups. I loaded up 4 per charge, and I only captured 1 velocity point, right, per charge weight. I wanted to shoot a 3-shot group with each one, just to see if there was any type of accuracy to be had at all, just sort of as an initial pass. And then I wanted 1 velocity data point, just to see how close, or if we were close to Hodgdon's velocity data. So the target is ugly. It's not really worth looking at, to be honest with you. Remember, this is the target from the previous video, shot out the center here. So don't worry about that. That's not what we were concerned with. But starting at 59 grains, that was these 3 shots here. Point of aim was here. Put 3 shots right there. That's like 1.1 inches, 1.2. So again, not stellar, but you know, you've got a cold bore and then 2 follow-up shots, 1.1, 1.2 inches. You can live with that, right? And then the second 3-shot group, so this is 59.3 there. That's, you know, probably closer to 2 inches, not worth looking at. The third group, again, almost identical measurement to this. It was like 1.1 inches, so not too bad there on the third group. That's probably going to be worth looking at. The fourth group, actually point of aim was here and it hit these 3, so yep, probably not going to fool with that. And then the last one, the fifth one, I was getting pretty excited about. So here was my point of aim. And I had made a scope adjustment too, by the way. You see all these are hitting high, and I made a scope adjustment. Originally it was high and to the left, so I made a scope adjustment down and to the right. And I put the first 2 there, and I was pretty pumped about that on that final charge weight. And then the third one went way up here. So I don't know what's going on with that. That was just very weird, but there's that. So target, not great. I wasn't necessarily expecting, you know, half MOA accuracy out of this setup again, Mossberg 4x4. So yeah, was kind of metering my expectations on, you know, again, if we can come in around an inch, inch and a half. And another thing too, to go along with this, I'm probably about to pull this scope off. This is the Osprey Global 10 to 40. This was on here when I got it. I have not been impressed. Okay, I'll just be honest. And if you go and look up the cost of this thing, I think Amazon has them on sale. It's like $400 for the scope, and it right now it's it would be a $400 disappointment in my opinion. Now that is me speaking from experience and having owned a couple of Arkin optics. Okay, so that's kind of that is my baseline of what I'm comparing, sort of this price range optic. That's what I'm comparing it to, and that's a tough test. There's really no comparison, right, at that price point. When Arkin runs their sales, you know, you can get one of their optics for like $300. It's first focal plane, this was second focal plane, so there are some differences, right? But man, if you're gonna spend your money, your hard-earned money, if you're gonna spend it, and you got around that dollar mark to spend, and you're looking for an optic, first focal plane or second focal plane, you would be hard pressed to find something better than the Arkin optics, the SH4 Gen 2. You know, they're 6 to 24, they're 4 to 16. Either one of those would be incredible optics to own. So it's a little bit of an unfair comparison, but when you're spending $400 on something, I mean, the turrets are just, I'll be honest, they're god awful. So, I mean, they're just not very tactile, just pretty soft, and it's kind of ugly. So this will be coming off pretty quick, because I mean, most of the shooting I did today was around 10 or 12 power. The crosshairs I can live with, it's not too bad. Reticle I can live with, it's not too bad. It does have a range finding portion of the reticle inside, and I went and looked up the user manual on it. That seems to be a pretty useless feature in my opinion. It's supposed to be for an 18-inch wide target, and then you just bracket it. It's called a choke. It's called a choke point or something style range finding reticle. I don't know. You're supposed to line up bracket an 18-inch wide target, and then when everything lines up, that's the distance that it is from you. But the problem is, it only goes in, the top line is 100 yards. So if it fits right there, then that means the target's 100 yards away. Well, the lines below it are only in 25-yard increments. So it only goes out to like 225 yards based on the lines below it. So you got a 10 to 40 power scope, and your range finding reticle only allows to go out to 225 yards. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. It seemed very weird that you would even include that in an optic like this. If you're putting this on something like a 30-06, I mean, you got it set up, you're just going to hold on whatever you're shooting at out at 225 yards. I mean, it's not a ton of drop in whatever you're going to be loading. So I don't know. It's just seemed to be very weird reticle setup in there. So, but that's it. I think that's where we're going to leave it. I am going to go back, and I think what I'm going to do now is, so I've got 5 more pieces of brass. I should specify that. I had 5 pieces of brass left over because I've got 25 that I'll be using for this project. And so I need to load up these other 5 with something, go shoot them. That way I can come back and keep everything kind of in the same state, right? Same condition. So I can size everything at the same time and do all that. So I think what I'm gonna do is probably load up, I'm thinking about loading up 5 more, you know, either at our 3rd charge or our 5th charge. I would like to rerun this one just to see what that looks like, because that was so odd that it threw that one really high. I would like to check that out again, because again, I had almost no pressure signs at all on this brass. So, and we could probably actually safely push it a little bit higher than max, but we're not really going to. We're just going to leave it right there. That'll probably be that'll be as high as we go. So I think that's it. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you were educated in the fact that this is probably going to be a great option in 30-06 in the 165 grain weight class, probably 165, 168 grain weight class of bullets. I haven't tested it in anything else, so can't say for sure, but it is not too slow of a powder to use for this weight bullet. So that is where we're going to leave it. Make sure you guys head on down to Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. Check out everything they got going on. Ton of stuff in stock as far as firearms, reloading, components, powder, bullets, all that stuff. They're getting more and more in stock all the time. I think they just got a big shipment of powder in the other day. So if you need some of that, run down there and get you some. Just tell them, tell them where you heard about them. So say, hey, Alabama Reloader said you guys were the best in town, so I need to swing by. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.